I was told that I had to wait until I got so sick that my life was considered in danger, which is one of the only medical exceptions in Texas.
That was Amanda Zurawski this week in Wisconsin, speaking on behalf of the Biden campaign. Zurawski sued the state of Texas earlier this year over its abortion ban. She was denied an abortion in August of 2022, nearly died during a miscarriage. Now the Biden campaign has asked her to bring her message to voters across the country facing similar restrictions on reproductive rights in their states. Amanda Zurawski joins us now. Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Here. I guess I want to start by asking, what made you get involved directly with the campaign? You had been out there. We saw you testify in Congress. You have been here in Washington, D.C. a number of times, making the case not only for yourself, but other women throughout Texas and across the country. Why take the next step to be essentially a campaign surrogate on this issue?
Yeah, great question. This certainly is not what I ever thought I would be spending my time doing, but as you mentioned, I've been really vocal and really active ever since this happened to me about 2 years ago. And when the opportunity came to work for the Biden campaign and help reelect President Biden and Vice President Harris, I jumped at the opportunity because we have reached a critical point in this election and in this country for reproductive rights. And Biden and Harris are fighting for us so hard, and having the opportunity to support them and help make sure that they're reelected could not be more important to me right now.
Amanda, one of the interesting aspects of this discussion right now on abortion is certainly the political piece, but the reality that's settled in for a lot of women across the country who may at one time have been, very much on one side of this issue, maybe, very ardent pro-life. And I know a few who've kind of moved on this issue, given the draconian efforts by some states like Texas, Arizona, and elsewhere. How do you see, or how are you beginning to assess not just the impact of your story? It's a very personal story and a real story that a lot of women and men can identify with. But you also have these other stories emerging now. For example, the AP reporting emergency rooms refusing to treat pregnant women, leaving one to miscarry in a lobby restroom. How are these stories being woven together and knitted for a broader conversation of not just the personal impact, but the real devastating impact that this has and could have for a lot of women across the country?
Yeah, it's been interesting. All of these stories are just so heartbreaking. Of course, they're very difficult to hear. But being out on the campaign trail and being able to meet folks across the country who are doing this work and who are fighting this fight has really opened my eyes to how the conversation has changed and how people are more willing to talk about their experiences. People are being vocal. They're sharing what happened to them, oftentimes in very difficult communities, in very difficult situations, maybe with conservative family members or friends. But they're doing it because they see how important this election is, and they are trying to open up the eyes of their, fellow community members to the reality of these laws to ensure that we reelect President Biden, because it is so important to so many people across this country.
Amanda, this Tuesday, the president's going to deliver a speech in Florida that denounces that state's new 6-week abortion ban, other efforts to restrict abortion access across the country. Those details were first shared with NBC News. You're a Texas girl in Wisconsin, and you told the people you were sitting down with in Wisconsin that you have something in common. What is that?
Well, I'm a fellow Midwesterner. I grew up in Indiana. And so I was talking to a lot of the women there who are having these conversations in really difficult scenarios, right? Like I mentioned, really conservative communities. I grew up in a conservative community, so I understand that these conversations are difficult to have, but it's critical. It is the most important thing this year. And I know we've heard this time and again, but I really believe it. This is the most important election of our lives.
Amanda, the other aspect of this, what I'm finding to be very fascinating now, is to listen to how some Republicans who were very ardent and strident even in their, staunch regarding abortion, staunchness regarding abortion. You now have folks like, Kari Lake and others doing the backstroke away from positions that they held on very firmly to, up to and including the Dobbs decision. How is the campaign, and how do you personally assess this level of flip-flopping, and what steps can be done to make sure people know where these individuals stood and have stood for a long time, but now seemingly are saying, oh, no, that's not my, I never thought that, I never said that, from Donald Trump to Kari Lake and others?
Well, look, I think they've already shown us who they are, right? I think their track records speak for themselves. We know that Donald Trump and his allies are going to institute a national abortion ban. We know that they're already trying to restrict access to medication abortion. We know IVF is probably on the table. We know contraception is on the table. They have told us this time and time again, and we should believe them. Meanwhile, President Biden's track record also speaks for itself. He has fought staunchly for us, and he will continue to do so until we restore the protections of Roe v. Wade. It's very obvious. Just look at what either camp has done, and that's all you need to know.
Amanda, I have just been struck by the sheer ignorance of lawmakers across the country, and even some in Congress, but lawmakers across the country, really, in these state legislators, who are overwhelmingly men who do not understand that this care is, in fact, health care. Men that the stories that Michael talked about, that in that AP story, that is happening to women all over the country. Something similar happened to you. The doctor told you what kind of care you needed, but the state wouldn't allow you to get it. And these lawmakers, they just, I don't know if, like, the men missed that part in class. What do you say to state legislators, elected officials, people in power across the country who say these are just irresponsible women, or that they should have their babies and give them up for adoption, or even some, I've heard lawmakers say, this is just the Lord's will? What do you say to those folks?
The hypocrisy and the ignorance is almost remarkable, right? Lawmakers in my own state are doing the same thing, where they're being asked questions about, whether IVF is protected, whether contraception will be protected, and they can't answer the question because they've never been through it, right? This is not something that they have any expertise on. They don't know what they're talking about. And frankly, they shouldn't be the ones making healthcare decisions for me or my family because they don't know what they're talking about.
Well, period, as the young people would say. Amanda Zurawski, we thank you for your time this morning, and just thank you for your voice for so many women across this country. You spoke out, and I think your courage to speak out encouraged other women to do the same. Thanks so much.
Hey everyone, MSNBC has a new and improved app. You'll get real-time alerts and analysis, live blogs, in-depth essays, video highlights, and the best 2024 election coverage. Download the new MSNBC app. Here's how to do it. You tap on the App Store on your phone. You hit search on the bottom right corner. You type in MSNBC. You click on the MSNBC app. You click on Get or the cloud icon and enjoy it.